Good morning, we are in DGP House in Davos and we will start the debate about sustainable development of competences as a challenge for modern economies and societies. My name is Dominika Pieczyk, I'm a journalist of Dziennik Gazeta Prawna and my dear guests are Pan Paweł Poszytek, General Director of Foundation for the Development of the Education System. Good morning.
Good morning.
Daniel Di Gusto, co-founder and executive director in Tech to the Rescue.
Yes, hello everyone.
And Mr. Maciej Kazimierczak, who finished MIT, Massachusetts Institute for Technology, and he will talk about competences as well. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good to see you. Thank you for having me here in this beautiful neighborhood.
In public debate, we are talking a lot about sustainability now, and it's worth to know that last year, Council of the EU adopts recommendation to stimulate learning for the green transition and sustainability. And that's why my first question is, what are the challenges for economies in terms of sustainable development of competences? Paweł.
Well, first of all, we have to create a kind of effective ecosystem in which all key players will effectively act as a kind of one organism supporting the development of competences which are needed on the labor market. Actually, we know what these competences are. Actually, here we are in Davos, and every 5 years Davos announces what kinds of skills or competences are needed. So it's a kind of consensus among different key players who decide, who state what kind of list of competences we should support. And 3 years ago, in 2020, the list was announced for the competences for 2025. So we are still in a process. And actually, the list is very interesting. It includes 9 skills, and the first 5 actually are within the domain of cognitive competence, which is analytical thinking, ability to learn effectively, creative kind of thinking, creativity, or complex problem solving. So this is interesting. This means that actually the stress is put on cognition and processing information, processing data. Actually, this is a natural thing because we are entering the age of Industry 4.0, digital and AI era. So that means that we will have to work on big data. So these kinds of skills will be actually needed in all spheres and all walks of life. But it's also interesting that actually still some elements of social skills or social competence are on the list, because we still need to be able to communicate effectively with people. It's not only about the communication on basically or strictly linguistic level. This is also the communication between people among different disciplines of science. I mean, interdisciplinary kind of discussion and debate. We will work in different groups, interdisciplinary groups, which will work on certain problems. So we will also need to develop certain skills to be effective in such kind of communication. And later on, the next frontier will be the communication with the machines, when artificial intelligence will rule the whole spheres of our lives. And obviously, on the list here we have digital skills as well. So actually, we know what kinds of skills, and now we need to create a kind of effective ecosystem between and build the bridges between the system of education and the world of business and economy, so that these two words could speak the same language. These two words could use the same kinds of thinking and develop the same approaches to tackle the whole issue. That's the challenge.
You mentioned cooperation with machines. Today, our guest in DGP House was Professor Rubini, and he told that automatization and robotization cause the threat for incomes of blue and white collars. What do you think?
That's an interesting issue. Okay, so this is the fourth industrial revolution. Yes, if we go back to the first industrial revolution, which was the steam, the creation of the steam engine. There was in UK there was a very famous movement called Luddism. This was the movement of workers who destroyed machines because they thought that the machines will take away the jobs from them. Actually, we know from this historic perspective that all these, at least the previous three industrial revolutions, and I think that the same mechanisms apply to the fourth industrial revolution as well. Actually, those industrial revolutions bring more jobs. The only problem is that they bring different jobs, which require different competences. So the answer to this question is complex, because on the one hand, yes, some people will be deprived of jobs if they don't have proper competences. If in the due course of those changes, if those people will not be somehow upgraded with their competences, they will lose jobs. But on the other hand, there will be more jobs created on the market. So that's the challenge, to equip people with proper competences. So there is a threat, but there is also a big chance.
Daniel, the same question.
Well, I would like to look at at this aspect from the different angle, from the point of view where we see and observe already right now that there will be high need for providing care and individual treatment for more and more adult people, right? We know that right now the educational system has different disadvantages, so also there will be a need for individual approach towards providing the education for the youngsters. I would go back to the aspect of AI. We know that right now the data shows that whatever is going to come within the next 3 to 10 years from the innovation coming from the AI breakthroughs is gonna only add value to those that provide care and those who work in the mentioned industries, mainly adding tools that will only need a certain knowledge that at the moment is still on the level that majority of users can achieve and learn. But what's going to happen next, as we think about perspective of 10, 15, 20 years, this is very interesting because basically technology is influencing the way how we operate and on a daily basis, but the outcomes are hard to predict because how we treat technology and how it influences our life basically changes when it has a chance to interact with the end users, right? So we will only see the real outcomes when we will validate how it how the outcomes of using technology will influence us, the end users, and how we will actually deal with that, right?
Maciek.
If you're asking about economies, let's refer precisely to the countries, because we can also consider like continents. And the question is about the competitiveness in between the countries when we take the game of worldwide economy. And let's somehow refer to our local economy, our local country that we represent as US media or we as local entrepreneurs. We have to be able to keep up with the changes of the global world. And we have to be able to provide for the other countries, because we cannot speak here at the specific question about internal economy or internal market. This is the competitive position of, for example, our exportation, both goods and knowledge. We have to be able to keep up with the changes, and we have to give a value proposal to other countries that will be of need in a particular moment of time. And this is what we do as Poland, because I may say, and I work with hundreds of different businesses and different manufacturers based in Poland as a global logistics provider, that we do it already, because we are on one hand catching up to Western economy on our continent, but on the other hand, we are very competitive, we are very hardworking, we have very good technology already in place. When I myself am visiting our so-called special economic zones, which is 200 plus all over Poland, when I am not visiting a specific place for like 1 year and I am visiting it again, I cannot, let's say, keep my proud, because every time I am visiting a special location, there are beautiful, brand new, great manufacturers or distribution centers, etc., all over the place in Poland. This is the production for the EU mainly, but also for all over the world. So we need to be able to keep up. We need to be able to step up the game, which is the quality change of our local economy, to be able to be a great provider in the exportation, both goods and knowledge in the future. And this is what the education and what the tech change is about. And we will probably touch it in your next questions.
Yes. Question to you, another question. You mentioned about young talents. Would we be able as a country to deliver these talents in the future? Because 20 years ago, Poland has as well a lower work costs. Now we don't have this, and it will be a problem to keep it in next 10 years. And it's as well the question about education, because we need this competence to provide the talents. What do you think?
First of all, I think that we should think about retaining the talents in Poland, not delivering somewhere else. And this is what the game is about, to be able to build up the market so local businesses will be, let's say, employers of choice for the local society. And it is also happening right now. We are retaining the talents, we are utilizing the talents, and if you speak about the change of wage or remuneration, however we call it, this is something normal. Yeah, there was a very high inflation all over the world during the last years. There was a very high inflation in our region all over the world. What I always liked in Poland was a great purchasing power parity we had for many years. This was a huge difference in between, for example, Switzerland, as we are now, and other countries, and Poland was very cheap and had an amazing purchasing power parity, which we could utilize as consumers and as professionals on the market. It has changed during the last years, but it has changed all over in all our region and almost all over the world. The inflation is a global topic, and it doesn't refer to our country specifically. So I am optimistic because the value of work or the cost of labor has changed everywhere. Yeah, that's the, let's say, nominal value is the same. The inflation has changed to each country, and we are still much more cheap as manufacturer providers or service providers comparing to other countries in our continent. And on the other hand, we are the biggest market of what I called an effective Europe, which is Central Eastern Europe, because of number of our citizens, plus the number of Ukrainians who came to Poland and who are, let's say, 100% utilized on our market.
Yes, but we had aging society, so demography is here.
Dominika, this is not only Poland, which is facing the aging in the society. This is also common. Yeah, maybe we can put India outside, because India, as we had on the other panels, the conversation specifically in the topic is a very young society, but this is not our direct competitor. If we consider CE or European continent or European Union, we are staying a young society. We are still catching up society, and we have number of advantages to the other countries, and this is building our competitive position on the market. Thank you.
Okay. Paweł, maybe let's talk more about education. Do we need a special path to teach these skills of future?
Yes, but just for a moment, coming back to those talents,
Yes.
the institution that I represent, the Foundation for the Development of Education System, we create talents. We use different programs, European programs, or we use World Skills Initiative to make out of the population of our young people, to create out of them some talents, because we send them for international internships. We use the European money for this. So they go, for example, to car manufacturers in Germany. They can see there, and they can experience, they can touch, and they can use the most modern equipment used in this industry via World Skills, which is a tool to support vocational education. We bring together the world of business and education. We create a platform for young people to meet representatives from the labor market. These young people can take part in the international contests. They compete with each other. They meet their colleagues from other countries. They can exchange experience. They can compete to be the best cook, the best carpenter, the best machine operator. We have over 40 different vocational disciplines in this contest. So actually, this is the opportunity for young people to try themselves, and during those contests, we are able to choose those diamonds among Polish youngsters. So we provide somehow those talents on the market. Obviously, this is a more complex system, because later on, somebody has to further take care of them and lead them somehow, and support their further career. But I think that our contribution within those initiatives is substantive. You ask about actually the effectiveness of education. So we already know the path from the theoretical point of view, because we know what kinds of competences we should teach. This is not only the Polish problem. Because of the fact that we are an international organization, we talk to people from different countries, not only in Europe. And actually, if you ask people, for example, from the United States, if their universities prepare young people to be effective on the new labor market, this Industry 4.0 labor market, meaning if their university can equip their students with those competences 4.0, which means the whole palette of social competences, cognitive ones, which we enumerated, and digital competences, they are not so sure. I mean, if American universities are so effective. And actually, they are also asking us what kinds of tools and what kinds of solutions we are trying to propose and to provide. So I think this is a global problem about what kinds of competences are developed among students, among pupils during the whole process of educational system. And so as I said, we know the roadmap because we know exactly what kinds of competences. There are a lot of initiatives. For example, in Poland, we have the foundation, the platform for the future industry. This is a foundation which is operating under the supervision of the Ministry for Development, and they actually created a kind of accreditation system for the universities with a very detailed roadmap and list what kind of infrastructure and what kind of competences among university teachers you should have in order to be able to equip your students with those competences of the future, competences 4.0. So there are a lot of initiatives which are showing the way. We have a lot of instruments. Now the only thing is we should apply effectively those instruments. So we have the knowledge, we already have some experience, we know how to do it, but the challenge is to apply it on a broader scale.
Daniel, before our debate, we was talking about T-shaped skills. What is it?
So for the T-shaped skill term is well defined and used especially by the organizations in the IT industry when where the dealing with ambiguity and solving complex problems is something that the professionals are dealing on a daily basis. And the term basically defines the way of educating oneself, focus on building very deep and well-established core knowledge in a specific area, specific terms, and being more or less a specialist in it, and then having enough wide knowledge about other various things that allows to understand the complexity of problems on a level that then enables to actually use that specialty that we have our core knowledge in. So it is about being an expert in something, but at the same time having enough knowledge about various aspects of other things, other areas and domains in business, in healthcare, in many different areas of our life that would allow us to actually then understand the complexity of the world that we operate in and use the core skills that we have. So I can clearly say that it is really visible working with technology companies where we have many great engineers and product people that on a daily basis they are specialists, they are many times are experts in a specific domain, in a specific technology that they operate within. But then at the same time, they need to have a set of skills that allows them to collaborate together, to be effective together and build products within the cross-functional teams, which are which is not easy, because we know that communication, even in between people of the same expertise, sometimes might be hard, and when we have experts from different domains, it might be even harder. So
It's very difficult to communicate with IT people, for example.
yeah,
We
well,
can say this is a different breed of people. Yeah.
I would start from the question, how what IT means and what would we be when we want to use help of technology professionals. We many times think that it is hard because their perception of reality focuses on very nitty-gritty details of tech aspects. But the fact is, for example, at Tech to the Rescue, on a daily basis, what we do is we talk to nonprofits and people from the social and environmental sector that come to us with a technological need, and they really not always that's very conservative or the simple simplification, but they come and they know that technology could help them, but they don't know what would it be or what technology, right? And then our role is to help to translate their needs to the technology. The good technology is not about building technology for itself, but actually to address the needs. So if anybody is talking to technology experts and have problems in communication, I would consider changing the technology partner. And Tech to the Rescue can help you to find the new one. So,
Okay. I would like to come back to this T-shape skills. Could they be an element of sustainable development of competences?
I really think that we need to create space for the generations that are going to solve some of the problems that we created in the last years, to create space to don't be afraid to make mistakes, to experiment, to be open to failure, to try new things. I believe that in the past, being imperfect was something that many times was shown from the perspective of something bad. And as long as we are pushing this idea forward and we stick to it, there will be very little space for creativeness, for the creativity and for creating a sustainable society. Because in the society where everybody wants to be perfect, there's a lot of pressure to be right instead of being doing the right thing. So I think the sustainable society will be based on the empathy, on valuing the ability to be wrong, and vulnerability, the ability to actually be open to mistakes and accepting that we don't know everything. And if we communicate that openly, it creates a whole new spectrum of abilities to find the common ground and connect. So I believe that T-shapedness is not only about technological or very strict engineering, narrow specialty, but all those skills on the horizontal line of the T, those are the skills that are very soft, that were already mentioned. So emotional intelligence, the things that I just mentioned. So these abilities, I think they're going to provide a sustainable society.
Maciek, as I said before, you finished MIT. What are your, I don't know, maybe the most important issue which you observe as a student there, if we are talking about development of competences?
I did graduate from 5 different universities, and MIT was just the last one. Say the shortest from my education. And if you ask me, let's say on a big picture view, I would tell you that my heart is beating towards the School of Economics, which is my alma mater, and where I did a lecture for a couple of years in my 20s. MIT was just, let's say, a puzzle that I wanted to add to my bio to be able to speak without the fear of communication with technology. Yeah, that's the main point. Of course, machine learning that I did as a program at this specific university is something which is, let's say, sexy on a current market, and more businesses are deploying so-called artificial intelligence and machine learning. But if you ask me in depth, this is the knowledge about statistics and econometry, which we already had at our former universities, because at Warsaw School of Economics I had like 2.5 years of statistics and econometry. So let's not pitch here Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Let's focus on our market and on our country. I very much feel that we have needed skills as we do export our technology skills or our technology professional, even staying in Poland and programming for all over the world. We do export many specific fields. And if you're asking about MIT specifically, of course, this is one of the locations where there are very beautiful minds. But this specific school was just a vehicle, and the value of the program and the value of the time spent in a specific field you are learning is the value of the network you are getting, the value of the students who are...
So these social skills.
Let's say that social skills is the basics for us as humans competing with machines. Let's say soft skills. But this is what we have to do as business practices, entrepreneurs, etc. We have to be able to deal well with people all over the world now. If we want Poland to be competitive, we need to be able to expose Poland all over the world. We need to be able to bring a value proposal to all over the world, etc., etc. We mentioned this in the former question. So let's say that all good vehicles of educations are key points as the foundation to what you are willing to do in the business. And as you did introduce me as a MIT graduate, I am primarily and first and foremost manager and entrepreneur from Poland. I do 2 hyper industries, which is global logistics and investment banking, specifically M&A, transaction advisory. And I have quite a wide sight on what is going on the market, talking to 100+ countries on daily basis. Yeah, let's do education as a foundation, and let's step it up, because as someone beautifully said, idea is only as good as its execution. And this is where, when we put the practice, when we are really learning, and let's just use the people and beautiful minds we met on our path of education, and let's mutually build it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Pavel, let's talk about branch education. In 2021, 28 professions were affected by lack of workers. Branch education can help here? What is its meaning now?
Well, the answer is yes, that's the way. But I'm personally very impressed by how this kind of education is organized and carried out in German-speaking countries, like in Austria, in Germany, and Switzerland. I had a chance to see it with my own eyes in real life, because the debate has been going on in Poland about, because as you remember, we had a big educational reform in 2018, and a big part of this reform was education, vocational part of this educational sector. And we've been debating on this, what kind of solutions are good here in this respect. And this is a kind of theoretical debate, but we've been trying to adopt some good solutions from other countries. And what I like most is, first of all, very close collaboration with the world of work. So what I saw, for example, in Germany, is usually when we talk about certain effectiveness of certain systems, we do not differ in our discussions about the general solution or structure, but we are rather talking about putting little stresses in different aspects of the whole phenomenon. And what I saw there is that actually the student in Germany does not belong to school, but belongs to the world of industry and the labor market. So actually, the student spends more time in the company, more time doing internships and other things like this, and the school only monitors this process. So, for example, if you need some numbers, basically it's like 3 days in a company, 2 days in a school. In Poland, we also are putting those two words together and making them cooperate closer, but the stress is rather put on a school. So more time spent at school than with a company. So we know how to do it. We know what the solutions are. We are not debating about different paradigms. This discussion has successfully ended, and that's good. We are using the same road as many other countries, but the devil lies in, as we say, in some specific issues, and this is about putting those little stresses. So the solution is to bring this education closer to the company rather than to school. So the role of the school will be more like monitoring of the process, but not being totally responsible for this process. And that's my answer.
Thank you. Do we need branch education, and what is its meaning? Daniel.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask this question, because I'm very controversial with my philosophy on how the education, what's the state of current education. Obviously, not only in Poland, but yes, Poland is an important important place for us in this conversation. I believe that we should rather think about how to adjust the current education to the needs of the upcoming future. I think I like what you, Maciek, said, that the value of school is in many ways the relationships that we build with people, and I would definitely make sure that we keep the branch education, but we just adjust it to the needs of the future. So working on skills that would help to get a wider understanding of the processes of how the world operates, what are the important processes economically. Economy itself is only taught in the at the high level of the education, while the basics and the basic elements of the accountancy of any kind of financial management, this is something that is very poorly managed, or it's not even included at all sometimes. So I have a feeling that there are tweaks that we could do to the system that could be that could allow kids that I'm thinking specifically about to enter the adulthood with some set of tools that give a practical that show a practical way of how to deal with the problems of the day-to-day existence. So even negotiation skills. This is something that comes to my mind when I think about business that we operate within, and this is something that we only learn through practice very late, or depending when we start the business practice. But we learn it at some point. But it would be way more useful to us if it would be taught way earlier, or at least the consciousness of some certain skills that can be used during the negotiation, approaches to communication, the nonviolent communication approach that allows to be more focused on not harming other people with our statements, but rather focusing on the facts themselves. I believe these are the simple the examples that come to my mind that could be included in the curriculum and would drastically change how the society prospers, how it works, because there are small things that could be added that would make a huge impact, I believe.
Paweł, would you like to comment? Maybe.
Well, yes, I totally agree. We've already talked about this. So the question is, do we have any tools or solutions in our educational system in Poland that somehow help to develop these kinds of skills or competences? So what comes to my mind is, for example, the fact that in our educational system we have the system requires from the teachers, it is compulsory for the teachers to use effective methods, active methods of teaching and learning during their classwork, and use a kind of as a tool a project work. So actually the Polish educational law states, at least on this theoretical level, that the teacher should spend around 20% of their time during their teaching practice, their didactic process. They should spend 20% of their time using this kind of project work method. So I've personally participated in many trainings of the teachers, not individually, but I participated in the creation of the different kinds of courses and providing certain systems for them, so that they could be trained and they could gain new competences as teachers to put those theoretical assumptions from our educational law into everyday didactic practice. And I can say, because we visit a lot of schools and we have contacts with many teachers. For example, we have a European program which started 20 years ago, and we are quite effectively putting this program into life in Poland. This is the twinning program. This is the cooperation of schools in Europe with the use of technology. So they do not visit themselves, but they realize different projects via technology, via certain portal, using online, different kinds of online services. And actually Polish teachers and Polish schools are quite active in this program. Actually, we have, after Turkey and Italy, we are on the podium in Europe. 18% of Polish teachers have been participating in this program. So this is the example that they are introducing and implementing this theoretical assumption, yes? Let's work with project work, let's work internationally in order to develop those skills that you mentioned. We cooperate together, we communicate together, we learn how to live and work together. We have the same goal, we have the same project, we have different, we use different languages, we come from different cultural backgrounds, but still we have one common goal, we want to achieve something together, and we cooperate. So that is happening. We have some examples in Poland, and I think, still it takes some time to achieve a kind of critical mass. But I think that we are quite close to it, and I can say that in that respect, Polish education system is effective. Obviously, we have many other problems and challenges, but in this respect, I think, in comparison to other educational systems in Europe, it's not that bad. For example, teachers in UK, I'm not criticizing English educational system, but teachers in UK do not have that much freedom as Polish teachers in reference to what kinds of materials they can choose, what kind of methods they can choose, and how they can manage the whole didactic process. So in that respect, when we compare different educational systems in Europe, Polish teachers have quite a lot of freedom. The question is if they use this freedom in a proper and effective way.
I just wanted to add, because I think in reference to teachers, I have an analogy in my head from the tech world of the role of Scrum Master in teams, which is a person that basically, many companies have their own definition, but to make it very simple, to put it the simplest way, it's somebody that is expected in many times to take care of others in teams, to basically help to make the communication smoother, and also to make sure that the value is delivered, that the value that the team is building, the product that the team is building, the value is delivered. And I'm thinking about this because both Scrum Masters and teachers, I see a thing in common. They many times take care of results, and they have a pressure on delivering great value to those that are expected to deliver the high results. So in technology businesses, the Scrum Masters take care of teams of experts, of professionals within their circle, their team, and teachers are taking care of our young ones, of kids or students, right? And we many times, I think, miss that aspect of their well-being, of the fact that they are the regular human beings and they struggle with regular problems. And I think there is very little attention to the well-being, the mental well-being of teachers. I'm not even thinking about well-being, the psychological well-being of kids, which is also an aspect that especially in times when technology was supposed to connect, while now is making people to get farther from each other and miscommunicate. I think it's critical to implement tools that would allow both teachers to have some mental treatment, to be able to use psychologist help, especially working with children that come from many different houses, from many different families with their own problems, and teachers have their own problems as well. So delivering great value in such pressured environment is not easy. And I would only add that it is very important to take care of teachers' mental well-being as well as kids, to understand what do they need, how do they feel, and I think putting attention on this would not only make Poland to stand out from other countries, but also to actually get to those countries that already do this and are on a high level of development. So I recommend everyone to watch a documentary on one of the movie platforms called Stutz, which is about some tools that are giving value for anybody, basically, to help to deal with some emotional challenges and so on.
Well, I can only confirm this because actually last year I carried out a huge research among our Erasmus Plus program leaders, coordinators of projects. These are the people, actually the research was carried out among 1,000 of such leaders. And these are real educational leaders. These are the people from universities, from schools, also from companies or from private sector, the people who in international partnership with the use of Erasmus Plus program funds, they are creating certain solutions or systems to improve the education, to improve the platform for upgrading people's competences on different levels, pupils' competences, students' competences, people at work, and so on. And actually, it was interesting to see because I chose specifically the period of pandemic to see, because a lot of people had challenges and problems during that time. So it was interesting to see what kinds of competences help them to survive. So I was especially interested in digital competences because with the lack of physical contact, that was supposed to be a kind of tool to compensate the lack of movement and meetings and so on. I was also interested in social competences and cognitive competences, how they help them to survive. And actually, all these people declared 1,000 people. They said that, well, those competences which they have, like digital competences or social or cognitive, basically were enough for them to sustain their cooperation, international cooperation, and to create those beautiful solutions and good educational programs. But what was their weakest point, and they admitted it from the very beginning, this is a very little aspect of the social competence, which is the stress, ability to manage the stress, and the ability to adapt to a new situation. So adaptability, stress and adaptability. They said that actually that was killing them. Other competences, it means, well, at least among this group, we have those competences. We do not lack them. But the ability to fight stress and ability to adapt to a new situation turned out to be the most crucial and actually influential as far as all those activities and the cooperation was yes, in their work. So, and I think this is not only the educational sector; it's everywhere. So I think a kind of broader look or broader spectrum or the debate how to support people from different sectors in this respect, I think is the most important here, because we know the idea of black swans. They will come, yes, whatever it is, the pandemic or some kinds of other problems or
You're
environmental
looking at me,
problems.
but I do not
whatever.
expect any more. Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah.
3
But you're
years of
optimist.
unprecedented situation. Yeah.
Okay, Maciek, maybe your comment and conclusion, because we have to finish in 5 minutes.
If you're asking about the conclusion to professional education, which is your last question, I would take a step back. We are on the market, and there is something which is called in theory of economy the invisible hand of the market, which is mainly helping us. So if you are considering specifically professional educations, the market itself is regulating what's the need for a specific profession, because out of a specific profession you can get X remuneration. And those basic skills are getting more and more of value, because as everyone went to do different universities, the image of basic skills got lower. So there are less professionals on the market, and the prices are much higher. Yeah, at the moment we can compare the price of day work of a good plumber, or a good tire maker, or whoever in a very basic professions, basic with huge respects to all of the professions. This is very comparable to senior management at beautiful firms in the market. And this is a very specific situation done by an invisible hand of the market. So if you are specifically asking about the education supporting professional roles, basic roles, etc., the question is if the education itself here is needed. Because we're in the practice when good professionals are learning and getting more wide from basic professions. This is everywhere. As people who are in Davos are saying, education at the moment is in the open source. We don't need to go to the universities to learn something specific. We go to the universities to get to know the people, to learn something specific in a specific, let's say, specific way, but there is no need for the universities as much as it was 30 years back, where the knowledge was only on the university. Yeah, the internet, technology, etc., has changed the game, but still we are in the market. We have to be effective. We have to bring the value to the market as our country in this neighborhood, and in our position of worldwide, which is quite important as a connection of East and West, as we are geographically. To sum it up, let's educate, but first and foremost, let's practice.
Okay. Now, Daniel, your conclusions.
Well, I think we need to open up to imperfection. We need to allow making mistakes. We need to teach it to children, allow them to actually experience it. I think practice, it's something that provides experience.
Makes the master.
Yes, for sure. Allows that vertical line in the T-shaped skilled professionals. But at the same time, in highly unpredictable world, the so-called VUCA world that we live in right now, knowing a little bit about different aspects of the reality allows to deal with it way better. So I would remember to make sure that we teach people how to take care about themselves, how to take care about our bodies, our minds, and how to actually be kind to each other, because we operate in a society, and the success to any progress is actually, the ability to connect, to communicate, and to also collaborate. So I think we just need to adjust our system a little bit, adjust, see how it works, whether there are some results, and improve like one step at a time, moving forward.
Okay, Paweł.
Maciek mentioned the invisible hand of the market, but there is also something which we can call a visible hand of the manager, or we can even broaden this concept, a visible hand of the leader. We need leaders, not only top managers and people who are directors or decision makers or whatever. Even if you have a group of students or pupils at school working on a project, the group of 3, 4, 5 people, these groups also need leaders. We need leaders.
Role models.
Exactly, on different levels. All of these young people have the potential to be leaders in certain spheres or in certain moments of their life, of their professional careers, and so on and so on. If we equip these leaders with the competences that we've mentioned here, then it will not be the invisible hand of the market. It will be the visible hand of these leaders will make a change.
I would only add that leadership is the ability to move other people to make progress, and anybody can be a leader in a particular moment. So I would say it requires courage, and courage, the basis of courage is actually vulnerability. So let's be vulnerable.
Thank you for our debate. Paweł Poszutek, Daniel Di Gusto, Maciej Kaźmierczak. And it was debate about sustainable development of competences as a challenge for modern economies and societies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dominika.
Thank you.
Thanks.